Dr. Buzz Spector is an internationally renowned artist, professor, and critic. He is Dean of the Washington University College and Graduate School of Art. And there is hardly any medium, photography, printmaking, sculpture, in which he has not distinguished himself. As part of our ongoing series, Art Fusion, we dropped by his studio in University City, where he shared some perspectives on art.
I like to make forms that give meaning. I like to make what it is I've done, to negotiate with the materials I use, evoke something in the consciousness and the emotional construct of people looking at my work. Particularly in the altered books that I make, where I tear pages out of existing books to transform them into sculpture. There's a metaphor in all of those altered books of forgetting, right? You know, if you think of every day of your life as a leaf in a book, which begins with your birth and culminates with your death, then the systems I use for removing pages take a lot out of the beginning of the book and leave the rest relatively intact, so that some reflection of how little we remember of birth, of early childhood, of the past stays with us, how in the larger sense we know more of, we are in command of more of the structure of our lives. Here's Jasper Johns Gray, and the design of the book allowed me to create what amounts to a kind of a landscape with a cloudy sky. But if I turn it back in its right orientation and flip through its pages, you can see Johns' artwork gradually disappearing into the fretted edges. I never imagined when I started working with books as sculptural objects 30 years ago that the question of the book's future would be raised, would occupy a lot of concern in the larger culture. You know, books from Gutenberg to the present moment, we have a 566-year history of books in print. If I never thought of it as eternal, I certainly never thought of the historical moment in which I make my art as giving rise to this question: will there be print books in the future? My view of the arts in St. Louis was a driving factor in my decision to come to WashU. I think this community is reinventing itself as an art center, and given the size of the city and of the region, there's an enormous amount of energy and innovation going into the visual arts, but all the arts. Energy and optimism always matter in creative practice. The belief that there's an important story, an important effect, a necessary impression in form, material, sound, movement, or the word that other people need to hear. Now, without an audience, that could be delusional. But we have an audience in St. Louis. We have a really loyal community of people who support the arts, whether through largesse or, more importantly, through showing up. We all try to explain ourselves to ourselves, and we all run up against the world's resistance to our ideas, our beliefs, our presence. I know in negotiating any social situation, well, I use my language, I use my wits, I use my empathy. I cannot talk my materials, the materials of my studio, I can't talk them into anything. I have to deal with the material conditions of art from a negotiation of a body to a substance. And there's something perfectly efficient about that when it works. And there's no one to blame but myself when it doesn't.